Welcome to Season 2 of the More You Know Media and Tech Literacy series, produced by IndependenThinker, LLC. The More You Know Media and Tech Literacy series is a quarterly educational initiative that helps individuals and communities better understand the realities of today's digital ecosystem. In Episode 8, we cover the digital, AI propaganda, AI slowpaganda. We turn the mic to Tommy and Gina for an insightful discussion about this topic.
Have you noticed your social media feed getting just profoundly weirder lately?
Oh, absolutely. It's like overnight everything just shifted.
Right, like you're scrolling on your commute, you're looking for news or maybe updates from friends, and suddenly there's this bizarre high-definition dancing cat.
Yeah, or like a surreal melting cartoon character that makes no sense.
Exactly. You swipe up and suddenly you are staring at a photorealistic video of the President of the United States flying a fighter jet and dropping virtual feces onto political protesters.
Which is just, it is entirely disorienting.
It really is. And if you found yourself staring at your screen wondering what on earth is happening to the internet, you are definitely not alone.
No, you're not. We are looking at a digital landscape that has mutated so rapidly that our brains, frankly, just haven't had time to develop the necessary filters to process it.
Which is the exact mission of today's deep dive. We're unpacking how artificial intelligence has evolved over the past year, leading right up to today, July 6, 2026.
Yeah, tracking how it went from this quirky novelty to, well, an industrial-scale tool.
Right, a tool deployed for two very specific things: political propaganda and sheer unadulterated profit. So we're synthesizing reporting from France 24, Al Jazeera, and tech literacy initiatives like The More You Know.
And we're going to figure out who is manufacturing this reality, why big tech is actively pushing it, and what it actually means for your daily digital diet.
But before we jump into the deep end, we need to set some ground rules.
Yeah, that is vital. The parameters here are really important for the listener.
Right. So to you, our listener, we want to be unequivocally clear. The sources today contain highly politically charged content.
Very charged.
Specifically regarding President Trump's use of AI since his return to the White House, we are not taking any political sides here.
Not at all.
We aren't endorsing and we aren't condemning the viewpoints of any content or individuals we discuss. Our sole job is to impartially report on the factual source material provided so you can understand the broader digital strategies at play.
Exactly. Regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, the stakes here extend way beyond a few offensive memes.
Right, it's bigger than that.
Much bigger. We're examining a fundamental re-engineering of how human attention is captured and monetized. The demarcation line between objective reality and synthetic media is just, well, it's being erased.
Erased completely. And to comprehend the monumental scale of this AI content boom, you can't just look at tech companies. You have to start at the very top.
The Oval Office.
Exactly. The most powerful office in the world has essentially legitimized this entirely new form of communication. Over his first year back in office, what's being dubbed Trump 47, Donald Trump has become the first U.S. president to deploy artificial intelligence as a core operational political tool.
It's really unprecedented. The France 24 reporting details how this is no longer just fringe behavior.
No, not at all.
It is the defining feature of his digital presence now. This strategy completely bypasses the traditional apparatus of presidential communication.
And the actual examples they highlight in the reporting are just wild to list out loud. Like, on the attack front, we've seen AI-generated memes depicting Vice President Kamala Harris as a communist.
Right.
And during the debates, after he made those false claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio eating pets, the pushback was immense.
A huge pushback, yeah.
But rather than walking it back, the campaign leaned into the absurdity. They posted AI-generated images of him bizarrely embracing cats and dogs with the slogan, "Cats for Trump."
And the tactical application gets much more targeted than just cats, too.
Oh, for sure.
The reporting cites AI videos depicting former President Barack Obama being physically arrested in the Oval Office and then, placed in an orange prison jumpsuit.
Wow. Yeah, and there was that manipulated image of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wearing a Mexican sombrero.
Which was paired with a highly convincing deepfake of Senator Chuck Schumer's voice.
Right. And then you have the administration's response to the nationwide No Kings rallies. You had citizens marching in the streets, and the counter-messaging wasn't a press conference.
No, it was that video.
It was an AI video depicting the president wearing a king's crown, piloting a fighter jet and literally dropping feces on those protesters.
Which is just a visceral, purely emotional mechanism of attack. It's designed to provoke.
Definitely.
But France 24 also highlights the self-glorification aspect of it. The visual language relies heavily on portraying him as Superman, as a monarch, and incredibly as the Pope, immediately following the death of Pope Francis.
A move that drew massive criticism, and, I mean, this approach is bleeding into foreign policy, too.
Yeah, the international stuff is where it gets really tense.
The sources note AI jabs suggesting Canada could become the 51st U.S. state, and most controversially, that synthetic video depicting the Gaza Strip as this lavish, beautiful seaside resort.
Right, complete with Trump, Elon Musk, and Benjamin Netanyahu just relaxing on the beach.
The geopolitical implications of that specific video were severe. Critics accused the administration of trivializing a humanitarian crisis. Some argued it made light of ethnic cleansing given the region's context.
But perhaps the most revealing detail in all this is how the administration actually handles the pushback.
Okay, let's unpack this, because it is like replacing the traditional, highly vetted presidential press release with a digital funhouse mirror.
A funhouse mirror is a great way to put it.
Right. It's not meant to inform you. It's meant to distort and provoke. When confronted about the Pope image, Trump's response to the media was simply, they can't take a joke.
Yeah.
And the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, officially defended the strategy, calling his use of videos refreshing.
And then there was that official government account post.
Oh my gosh, yes. The most stunning defense. An official account literally posted, nowhere in the Constitution does it say that we can't post banger memes.
Banger memes.
Yeah.
I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the underlying logic is brilliant in its cynicism.
Oh, so.
Well, this strategy weaponizes stereotypes and false narratives, but it packages them into entertaining, bite-sized visual formats. Why issue a dense policy memo when an AI image can just bypass the logical centers of the brain and hit the emotional core instantly?
Right. They're bypassing traditional media filters entirely.
Delivering this directly to over 100 million followers.
It effectively short-circuits the fact-checking apparatus. By the time a journalist explains why a deepfake is false, the emotional damage or the comedic relief, depending on the viewer, is already done.
Exactly. And that normalizes synthetic media at the highest level of government.
Yeah, the reporting shows this trickling down to agencies like Homeland Security, too.
Because when the commander-in-chief operates this way, it signals to the broader culture that this is standard communication now.
But here's the thing. The White House didn't invent this style of visual communication.
No, they absolutely did not.
They just realized its power and tapped into a pre-existing massive global internet ecosystem that was already churning out this material by the terabyte.
It's an underground economy.
Right. The normalization from the Oval Office essentially acts as a massive billboard for this economy. So let's look at the gig workers who are actually powering it.
This introduces us to the mechanics of what they call AI slop.
Which is just a deeply unpleasant phrase, AI slop.
It really is.
It refers to cheap, meaningless, high-volume synthetic content designed to do one thing, which is keep your thumb from swiping away. The Al Jazeera report dug into this ecosystem and found it dominated by these recurring, hyper-bizarre characters that just flood the algorithms.
Yeah, characters with names like Tungum Tum Tung Sahur.
Or Ballerina Cappuccina.
Right. And to understand the how behind all this, Al Jazeera profiled Mark Lawrence Gilawo, a creator based in the Philippines. His workflow is basically the perfect blueprint for this entire industry.
It's literally an assembly line. Mark uses ChatGPT to generate dozens of absurd prompts or scripts.
Just churning them out.
Right. Then he takes those text prompts and feeds them into Kling AI, which is a video generator. And Kling AI doesn't fully understand physics, which is why the characters melt or move in that jerky, surreal way.
This just adds to the weirdness.
Exactly. Then he drops those raw files into CapCut Pro, edits the pacing to be as chaotic as possible, and uploads it to YouTube Shorts.
It is a totally frictionless pipeline. But we really have to look at the economic disparity driving it.
This detail from the sources completely floored me. In the Philippines, an entry-level job for someone with a computer science degree pays roughly $500 to $700 a month.
Right.
Mark, by running this AI video pipeline, is pulling in $3,000 to $6,000 a month on YouTube.
The global economic arbitrage is the fuel for this fire. I mean, Mark mentioned his revenue peaked in May 2025 during a trend known as Italian brain rot.
Okay, wait, I need a visual on that.
Yeah.
What exactly makes something Italian brain rot?
Well, it relies on complete sensory overload. So it's rapid-fire jump cuts, aggressive synthetic audio, and fusing cultural stereotypes with those bizarre melting AI characters like Ballerina Cappuccina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're all moving to distorted Italian music. The algorithm identified that people lingered on the sheer confusion of it.
Just staring at it, trying to figure it out.
Exactly. And by churning out variations of that specific aesthetic, Mark was pulling in 20 million views per video.
That is insane.
And there are global creators operating similar pipelines, making over $1 million a year.
Okay, I have to pause here, though, and look at this from a different angle. Because I hear AI slop, but I look at Mark and I see a guy meticulously writing ChatGPT prompts. He's analyzing algorithmic trends, he's editing the timing in CapCut to maximize the comedic or surreal impact.
You're wondering if it's art.
Yeah. Is the label flop actually fair? Are we just being cultural snobs and refusing to admit this is a new form of digital outsider art, prioritizing a different kind of creativity?
It's a fair question. And Mark makes that exact defense in the Al Jazeera piece. He argues that AI is merely the paintbrush. He says the human idea still has to lead, and there is a conscious effort on his part to be novel.
Right. He's trying to manufacture a reaction from the audience.
True, but let's examine the aggregate effect here. While Mark might achieve a moment of dark humor or genuine surrealism, the overarching pattern across the ecosystem is highly regressive.
Regressive how?
The content isn't evolving toward complexity. It's devolving toward whatever hits the brainstem the absolute fastest. The platforms reward sensationalism, which is turning the internet into what one observer in the sources described as a garbage yard.
A garbage yard. And that brings us to the actual architects of the garbage yard, because Mark wouldn't be generating 20 million views for melted brain rot videos unless big tech's infrastructure explicitly wanted him to.
Yes, the algorithmic Hunger Games.
Let's look at that. What is happening with big tech here?
The timeline is the key to understanding the mechanism. Prior to this AI boom, a public consensus was finally forming around screen time limits. Users were actively trying to log off.
People were tired of endless scrolling.
Exactly. Then, generative AI arrived. Meta reported that implementing AI content into their feeds delivered an 8% increase in watch time on Facebook.
8%.
And a 6% increase on Instagram.
In the attention economy, an 8% gain is monumental. It was a lifeline for them.
Absolutely. Mark Zuckerberg has been aggressively pushing for this. He noted on an earnings call that adding a category of AI-generated or AI-summarized content is a massively exciting frontier for their platforms.
And you see a similar dismissal of the negative impacts from the companies actually building the models, too.
Yeah, OpenAI.
Right. When Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and Bill Peebles, the head of their video generator Sora, were pressed on the proliferation of slop, they just brushed it off.
Peebles argued their models can tell coherent stories, essentially claiming the definition of slop is entirely subjective.
Meanwhile, YouTube publicly claims they value high-quality content over raw engagement. But the reality of their payout structures proves otherwise.
Of course it does. They profit from dwell time. And the psychological hook of this AI content is exactly why it generates so much dwell time. The sources describe this synthetic media as pure id.
Pure id. It bypasses higher-order reasoning entirely.
Exactly. The algorithm doesn't know the difference between a user watching a beautifully crafted documentary and a user who is just paralyzed in anger by an AI video.
Right. It just measures the time spent on the screen. But here's where it gets really interesting. We've dealt with trolls on the internet since, the days of dial-up message boards.
Yeah, there have always been people trying to ruin your day online.
Right. So mechanically speaking, how is this AI era fundamentally any different from the internet of, say, 2015?
2 words, industrial scale. That is the terrifying difference.
Industrial scale.
Right. In 2015, a troll had to manually type an inflammatory post or poorly Photoshop an image. Today, we are dealing with automated, photorealistic anger generation. A server can generate 10,000 localized, culturally specific pieces of racist, sexist, or bigoted media in the time it takes a human to tie their shoes.
Wow.
It functions like a digital invasive species. It perfectly adapts to the algorithm's ecosystem, completely choking out the native flora of human-made content, because humans simply cannot compete with that volume.
Which leads us to a deeply concerning reality. When you combine the political normalization of synthetic propaganda with the economic desperation of global gig workers and the algorithmic incentives of big tech, you trigger a massive crisis for our shared reality.
You really do. We are tracking the rapid acceleration of 2 destructive trends here. The first is the weaponization of fake media.
Because an AI video of a kangaroo in a coffee shop is funny, but an AI video of a fabricated riot in your neighborhood is dangerous.
Precisely. If bad actors can fabricate violence or hate speech at scale, it destabilizes our ability to agree on basic facts. But the second trend is even broader and honestly more existential: the steady erasure of the human element entirely.
The dead internet theory.
Yes.
Our listeners likely know the old conspiracy theory that the internet was secretly just bots talking to bots. But the reporting highlights that this is no longer a theory. It is happening right now. Currently, roughly half of what is online includes AI-made elements.
And the timeline has compressed drastically.
Mm,
Experts predict that within a few short years, AI will dominate the entirety of the internet.
the entirety.
Yeah, we are building a closed loop where synthetic content just perpetually reproduces itself.
And the guardrails are completely coming off. The sources note a massive cultural shift in Silicon Valley. Early on, you had AI ethicists at OpenAI who were terrified of releasing these models into the wild. They understood the threat to objective reality.
But those ethicists have been effectively pushed out by business maximalists. The tech giants view this as a winner-take-all existential war for market dominance,
Right. The prevailing attitude is that if they slow down for ethics, a competitor will just eat their market share. So safety follows growth.
which means the cavalry isn't coming to save us. The defense has to be human.
Which brings us to the Al Jazeera report. They specifically underscored the necessity of tech literacy initiatives. They pointed to groups like Independent Thinker LLC and their bilingual series, The More You Know.
Yeah, they're actively trying to train the public on how to spot the seams in this blurred reality.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you are a casual user, someone just looking to decompress on their phone, how do you navigate a digital space where half of the actors aren't even human?
It means shifting critical thinking from an academic concept to a daily survival skill. Knowledge is only valuable when applied.
So what's the application?
The mechanism you have to adopt is the pause. When a piece of media makes you intensely angry or intensely amused, you have to actively question the emotional response it is extracting from you. Ask yourself, is this reality, or was this mathematically engineered to hijack my attention for a fraction of a cent?
Wow. We have covered incredible ground today. We traced the strategic weaponization of AI memes by the 47th president. We explored how that normalization fuels global gig workers in the Philippines cashing in on Italian brain rot. And we revealed how big tech's algorithms favor this synthetic invasive species simply to maximize their profit margins.
And the unifying thread through all of it is human attention. Your attention is the literal currency that politicians, gig workers, and multinational tech conglomerates are aggressively mining.
Being well-informed means understanding the invisible architecture of the platforms you log into every single day. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something we haven't even touched on yet.
Oh, this is a big one.
We've explored how AI is currently flooding the internet with synthetic slop. But remember how these models actually work? The next generation of AI requires massive amounts of scraped internet data to learn and get smarter.
Which raises a fascinating and deeply troubling question about the future.
Exactly. What happens to the mind of the next AI model when it is forced to train on a diet of its own synthetic dopamine-driven junk food?
If it consumes its own slop.
Will it actually get smarter? Or will it slowly lose its grip on what it even means to be human?
We are building an Ouroboros snake eating its own
Yeah.
tail.
So keep a close eye on that weird feed of yours. It is a digital funhouse mirror, and it's reflecting a lot more than just dancing cats. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the mechanics of what you see, and we will catch you next time.
For more episodes related to media, social media, tech, and privacy, visit our YouTube channel, Independent Thinker LLC.